when you browse for a website, how the DNS resolution happens is what we had discussed. So we'll also discuss how to register your own website, right? You know how a website should work. Every website in the world, they must have a set of authoritative name servers, right? And inside this authoritative name server, you have to save the DNS records. The DNS records would include to which IP address your website must point to, right? It can also include the information like, of course, when you browse for google.com, then it is the authoritative name server of google.com who are responsible for giving me the IP address of google.com. It's not just the website IP which name servers are responsible for. Sometimes you want to send out an email to google.com website. For example, test@google.com, I want to send a mail. Or think about Gmail, I want to send an email to right, user1@gmail.com. So when I try to send an email from my Gmail or maybe from a different mail client, it is the name service of gmail.com that tells me where I should forward my emails to so that Gmail can see it, right? What I'm trying to say is, if you have a website, assume basil.com, take the example of basil.com. When you browse for basil.com, it is the responsibility of this authoritative name server of basil.com that would provide you the IP address of basil.com. Then you will contact the correct IP address. Probably you are running Apache in that machine, and that machine will give you the web page. Sometimes this is you from your computer. You want to send an email to somebody@basil.com. Again, when you try to send an email to somebody@basil.com, any email which is supposed to be sent to basil.com, again the query will be sent to this authoritative name server. What are the mail servers of gmail.com or basil.com? Then this authoritative name server will say, okay, this is the server to which you must forward your emails to. Then my computer will connect to that machine and deliver the emails which I am sending over there. So the authoritative name server actually has different functionalities. If you have a website and if you have associated your website with a set of authoritative name server, this authoritative name server will become responsible for providing whatever DNS your website want to work with. It could include the emails, or it could include the website access, anything. So that's what you call DNS records, right? So assume I need a website. I will tell you, if you need your own website, what are all the steps that you need to follow to get yourself a website. First thing is, you must register for the website name. If it is basil.com, you must purchase the name basil.com. It is very cheap actually. For 1 year you need to pay. For .com domains, I think it is nearly 500 rupees. For .info domains, it is nearly 100 rupees per year. So the domain names are typically cheap. It's basically something like, once you purchase this domain name, that then it is all yours. It is up to you what to do with it. You can decide what to do with it, because for next 1 year, let's say you purchase the domain name for 1 year, then what it means is, for next 1 year nobody else can get that domain, right? Obviously, I mean, Google already has google.com website. Nobody else cannot register for google.com website legally. So that's how it works. So there are many registrar out there in the world. There are many registrar. For example, one of them is GoDaddy, godaddy.com or godaddy.in. They are basically a registrar from where you can actually purchase the domain name. For example, basil.com or devops01.com. Search, I mean, this is what you need to do. You search whichever domain name that you want to purchase, search for the keyword, Then if it is available, it would tell you this is available. I mean, if it is available, what it means is it is not registered by somebody else. It's a free domain. You can purchase it and it costs you only 99 rupee per year. They have some discount, right? It would cost you only 99 rupees. If this is for 1 year, you can purchase this domain name for 1 year. Basically, it is more like you became the owner of this particular name, and now it's up to you to decide what to do with it, right? So again, we haven't discussed about the authoritative name server. So if you are purchasing a domain name for yourself, you might as well purchase a set of authoritative name servers as well, because in this authoritative name server you are going to mention a record to point your website to an IP address, MX record to point your website to a email server. So like that, different types of record you can add into this authoritative name server once you purchase them. I haven't done that yet. All I did is I went into GoDaddy, searched for my domain availability, and I can then go ahead, click on the button add to cart. Then I can make the payment online. Then the website would become mine. But I'm not done yet. I will be done once I have set up this authoritative name server. Maybe what I can do is I can purchase it from a third party. People hardly set up on authoritative name server. What typically people does is, even from AWS also you can get a set of authoritative name server. You can add your website DevOps 01 into those name server, and once you did that, let's say I added my website DevOps 01 into AWS authoritative name server, then AWS would respond me with the list of authoritative name server. They would give something like ns1 dot amazon aws.com, ns2 dot amazon aws.com. So like that, they would give maybe 3 or 4 authoritative name server, and they would also give me a graphical interface from where I can add record for my website, basically point my website to a specific IP or point my website to a specific mail server. Once I got this name server, then again I need to go to GoDaddy or whoever my registrar is. I need to go to the registrar website, log into the registrar website. Then I have some option to associate my website with this name server that I got from AWS. Basically, you are publishing to the world. You are telling the world that if somebody want to know any details about DevOps01.com, for example, the IP address of DevOps01.com, the mail server of DevOps01.com, right? Any information about DevOps01.com, one of these 4 name server need to be contacted. I hope it is clear. I will repeat once again. Let's say you want to register your own website. First thing, you want to purchase the domain name. There are many registrar. GoDaddy is just an example. Any registrar website, if you go into, they will have a search box where you can check the availability of the domain that you want to purchase. Check the availability and register for an available name. All you need to do is just go ahead and click on add to cart, then purchase the domain name. Then that domain name is yours. Let's say you purchased it for 1 year. Once you did that, it's incomplete, still incomplete. Now if somebody browse for devops01.com, they are not going to see anything. They would, but nobody cannot register that. Let's say somebody else came into GoDaddy website and they are trying to register for devops01.com, then GoDaddy will say no, that name is already taken. So basically you are owing that domain. That's all happens during the registration process, and the website will not start working at that time because there are no authoritative name server which you had published. You need to tell your registrar that uh, associate my website with these name servers. That step I need to complete. So first I need to get a authoritative name server, which I will get from AWS, or there are many DNS providers. From anyone I can purchase a set of authoritative name server. In AWS, The flexibility you get is you can directly go to the AWS dashboard, then add the website. Hello. Yeah, I got disconnected for, yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, sorry about that. So, what I was telling is,
Can I interrupt you?
yeah, go ahead. Mr.
Sir, actually, you give me the assignment 2 days ago. You remember?
Right.
But I was
Yeah, we will
unable to
discuss
do
about,
it.
yeah, we will discuss about it at the end.
But I was unable to do it, sir. Actually, I don't have internet where I'm living, and laptops is not working. So, is it okay right now? I hope it's not problem for me.
We can continue, but please get that right. Get that fixed as
Okay,
soon as
but
possible.
can you tell me what is the practical work? Can you repeat the assignment again?
It would be there in the video, but
Okay,
it would be there in the video that you can watch.
okay.
And yeah, just get the system working as soon as possible because these practicals are important. Okay, what I was telling is you registered a website, you purchased the domain name. Next step that you want to do is you need a set of authority name server that will tell the world what is the IP address of your website or what is the mail server of your website. All these things you want to publish to the world. So for that you need a set of authority name server. You can purchase this authority name server also from a third party. You can buy that from AWS itself. AWS has a service called Route 53. If you log into aws.amazon.com, you would see some service called Route 53 over there. So what you can actually do is once you register the website with GoDaddy or any registrar, you can go into Route 53 service, click on services menu on AWS, click on Route 53. You have an option, you can add your website into this AWS Route 53. Route 53 is nothing but the authority name server service. So if you add your website into AWS, they will charge you a very less amount. I think $1 per month or $0.5 per month, something like that. Click on get started, then click on hosted zone on the left side. You have the option to create a hosted zone. You can give the website name. On the left side, you can give, right side, you can give the website name. Let's say devops01.com. Or but remember, this is not the website registration that you are doing. Remember, you are actually getting the set of authority name server from AWS. So AWS has this procedure. You add the website over here, then they will give you the set of authority name server. We can see them here. Once you add the website, you can see the list of name server. There are four of them. So all this four name server, I need to register with my registrar. I need to log into my registrar website again. In GoDaddy, there's a sign in option. I need to log in here. Then I have an option to associate my website with these name server. That is when actually I am publishing to the world. I will log in and I will show you. I already have some website registered under my account. Oh, sorry, this is not my account. Give me 1 second. I will get my login credentials. Okay, so I logged into the GoDaddy website and I have a list of websites. These are the website I registered. If you register one for your own, you will get an option. You will actually get an option. You can log into the account and you would see this page. Click on DNS button next to your website name. From that page, you would be taken to a different page. From that page, you can actually mention what are the authoritative name servers of your website. That is when you are publishing to the world. These are the authoritative name server you need to contact if you want to get any information about my website. So over here you have the option change name servers. Click on the change button. By default, these are the name server that I am currently using. If I get the AWS name server list, I can add this name server over here. Right? What I need to do is uh, add the name servers here one by one. This one, this two. So like that, I can add multiple name server. Click on add name server button if I want to add a third one. So I can add up to 4. AWS has given me 4 name servers. AWS also does not really give me the backend access to this name server, but I really don't need it. If I click on the save button, then my name servers are changed, right? Then I am going to use this name server for my website. It would take some time, maybe up to 24 hours it would take. GoDaddy needs some time to publish to the world your authoritative name service. So that much time it will take. And once 24 hours are over, then if anybody want to browse devops01.com, the request will come to the authoritative name server, which is in this case, it is nothing but the Route 53 service of AWS. You did that from Route 53 page, right? You got the authoritative name server from Route 53. So the request will go into this Route 53 name server within 24 hours since I made this change. So now my responsibility is adding the necessary DNS record inside the Route 53 name server. I need to add an A record. A record is nothing but pointing your website to an IP address. IP address is nothing but the machine which is running WordPress and it has a public IP. This public IP is what I mean. WordPress, I'm telling it as an example. It can be any web application. Uh, Flipkart.com, Google.com, or any web application. Even if I say WordPress, always remember, I always want to make it more generic. Your web application, the web application owned by your company, right? So to that IP address, then whatever IP address that you had added as the DNS record inside this authoritative name server, this authoritative name server will respond with that IP, and you will contact to that IP and get the web page from the respective machine, assuming that Apache is running in this machine or some web server is running in this machine, which listens on port 80 and serve whatever requests which are coming in. This is when your website process, right? Website setup process is complete. So what all thing you need to do? First, you need to register for the domain name. Then you need a set of authoritative name server that you can purchase from a third party, for example, AWS. Once you got the authoritative name server, you need to publish to the world that these are my name servers, which you need to do that at your registrar. You would associate these name servers with your website. And once that is also done, you would start adding the DNS records. You can do that even before, which is fine. You can start adding the DNS records. There are different types of DNS record. A record would basically, if you add an A record pointing your website to an IP, then anybody who is browsing from different parts of the internet, they would actually ask this authoritative name server. They're asking this authoritative name server because you already published this authoritative name server with your registrar. That is the reason. So the request will come to this authoritative name server. The name server would respond with whatever A record which is present inside this authoritative name server and got it right. So people will connect to the respective machine that with that IP and get the web page from there. So you got it right. This is how actually a website works.
So can I ask you something?
Uh, yeah, sure.
So you are talking about it. Can you release that diagram again?
I'll redraw the diagram. Sure, I will. And yeah, I will repeat.
Okay, I
Anybody
have
else got any
no
questions?
no pro no problem. I have drawn it. I have a question that the IP address, the IP, the audited the IP address is generating from the auditory server. Am I right?
IP address is basically it could be a machine which you own. For example, your
Right.
EC2 machine where you have set up your WordPress. That is your
Right.
web server.
Okay.
That's your
Okay.
web server.
IP address is a machine which is a web server. And what is the auditory server?
Authoritative name server.
Yes,
Okay.
authoritative name server.
Yeah, maybe I will repeat once again. Anybody else how?
I'm I'm sorry for interrupting, sir.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
And
that's
Basil,
fine. That's absolutely fine. I think maybe you did not
So,
catch that. That's what I suppose. But yeah,
yes.
we will.
Yeah.
I
I
will.
have a diagram because I was showing that it's a function that auditory name server is actually is interfacing with the IP address machine server. Am I right?
I will. I will come to that. I think better. I don't think you
Okay.
got it right. Right.
Okay. Okay.
and also Basil, Sunil here.
Yeah. Soon we go ahead.
Uh, yeah, and also can you show how that public IP will be mapped to that ANS?
Public IP will be mapped to the EC2 machine. What is that? AMS means.
Yeah, authoritative name server. So you mean like the IP address will be mapped to ANS or the domain?
Uh, okay. Right. Think about this. Think about the WordPress machine that you have set up. That's your web server, right? You already have set up the WordPress here, and assume inside Apache you are adding a virtual host. You added a new virtual host, and you are adding the website server name as devops01.com. Earlier we were using some vague name, not a actual domain name. So assume in this case, I am using a real domain name, devops01.com. But
Okay.
if people from the world, if they browse for devops01.com, will their request come here? It won't come here because devops01.com is currently a unregistered website. It is not registered by anybody in the world, which means that website is a unroutable website. Nobody can browse devops01.com. If I browse devops01.com, it would throw me an error, right? It would just time out devops01.com. Site cannot be reached. Obviously, the site will not be reached. The reason is this is not registered by anybody in the world. This is a non-functioning website. Now let's say I want to purchase a website with name devops01.com. First, I should purchase it. That's what I would do at GoDaddy, or go to some registrar. From them, I will purchase this domain name, right? This is the third party from where I am buying the domain name devops01.com. Okay, that is one step. Now, if people browse for DevOps01.com, will their request come to your machine? Your EC2 machine has a public IP, for example, 32.32.33.34, something like that. There's a public IP for your machine. Let's say, assume you registered it. I mean, all you do need to do is go and purchase the domain name for 100 rupees per year. Assume you purchased it. Now, if people browse for DevOps01.com, will their request come to your EC2 machine? Not yet, because you need an authoritative name server, like any working website in the world. Any working website in the world must have a set of authoritative name server, and in this place you need to publish to which IP address your website should be pointing to. If somebody browse for DevOps01.com, to which IP address they must be redirected to. The IP address in this case is nothing but the public IP of your EC2 machine, the public IP that you see in the EC2 dashboard. So what you will do is you will get a set of authoritative name server. Maybe you will get it from a third party. And inside this authoritative name server, you are going to add the DNS record. You would add an A record pointing your website to the IP address of your EC2 machine.
Yeah, can you show me that one? How can we add?
I'll come to that. So similarly,
So
there can be many other things I want to do. I want to tell the world that if somebody send out an email to DevOps01.com email addresses, for example,
so
user at the rate,
can I interrupt you?
not yet, let me complete. I want to tell the world that if somebody want to send out an email to DevOps01.com, to which server those emails should go into. In this case, I am telling to the world by adding the A record. If somebody browse for DevOps01.com in their browser, what IP address they will connect to. The IP address is nothing but your EC2 machine. Probably inside your EC2 machine, you already have Apache running and the WordPress is working there. Then your website will work. And you can also tell some other information about your website also. You can publish to the world. If somebody send out an email to DevOps01.com, to which machine those emails should go to. Probably this is another EC2 machine that you had purchased. This is another EC2 machine which you want any email sent to DevOps01.com to be coming to. Those information also you can publish to the authoritative name. So authoritative name server is something like a place where you are publishing the information about your website. Where is the Apache website located? What is the IP? And where is the MX record? That means the mail server located. You are publishing this information inside this authoritative name server. And now if people browse for DevOps01.com, actually it will not still work. The reason is when you purchase this authoritative name server, that's not going to be enough. You got the authoritative name server, fine, you added the record, but they are actually not your authoritative name servers yet because you haven't registered them with your registrar. Basically, it's something like associating this name server with your website, DevOps01.com. I go into the registrar portal, I will log in there. Then over there, I will publish that I want the name service of DevOps01 to be these, whatever I got from a third party, or right, maybe something which I had set up my own, whatever. I am publishing that information to my registrar. That is when the world will actually realize that these are the authoritative name service of DevOps01.com. Now anybody browse for DevOps01.com from anywhere in the world, since you have already published this authoritative name server information along with your website registrar, then everyone in the world will end up asking this authoritative name server, what is the IP address of DevOps01.com? If you already added this A record over there, the authoritative name server will respond with the correct IP. Now you know, your laptop know to which IP address it need to connect. Of course, you got an IP. Now you can connect to the correct IP. The IP address is nothing but the IP address of your EC2 machine, could be, right? Because you already purchased your EC2 machine, set up the WordPress and everything, it's all ready. So you point it at that website, and this is how people will be able to see your website. This whole process need to be completed to get a functional website.
Basil,
Yeah, go ahead.
Basil, if we are buying a domain from GoDaddy, so why we need to do this all procedure like ANS and DNS thing setup? They will give.
I think GoDaddy will not give you free
I
DNS.
mean,
You need to buy from them, right?
okay, I mean, so you are talking about hosting the website. We have to do this all procedure.
Yeah, web hosting. Yes.
Basically, yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
So sometimes, uh, yeah, actually, these are different entities. That you got it right. I mean, registration is a different entity. Authority name server is a different entity. The web server is a different entity. Sometimes you can get all these services from a single provider. Maybe from GoDaddy itself, you can purchase the hosting. That means you can put your websites inside these GoDaddy machine, and you can get a set of authoritative name server from GoDaddy, and you can associate this name server with your website. So sometimes you get all these things from a single provider, but always remember, you can. It's up to you to choose what authoritative name server that you want to use or which web server that you want to use. All are different entities.
And basically, is this is the same case for web applications also?
For any web applications, this is the case.
Yeah.
Right? It's clear, right? It could be, I mean, I know it could be little confusing because it is pretty new to you, but watch the video again. It's it could be little, tough to grasp, but it's very important topics that we are going through. Just watch the video again.
Sir,
It would start.
sir, can I ask
Uh,
you, sir, can I ask you something?
Yes,
Sir, can I repeat? Sir, so auditity name server is playing a real part. Is is a web server is a real function, right? And it's basically it's connected with the IP server. Am I right? And it's getting the input from the DevOps.com. This is the process, right?
mm, no, not exactly. These are all
But
this is the machine.
it
These are
basically
all public machine open
it basically directly connected with the EC2 machine Apache server,
okay.
the auditity
There
name
are two
server.
things. Maybe you are still confused. Actually, there are two things. What is an IP? What is mean by a public IP?
uh,
Yeah, go
Public
ahead.
IP
Anyone.
is something.
Yeah, go ahead, Sunil.
Public IP, which is an open IP given, like which is available for everyone. Like it's an
Exactly.
open pool.
Exactly. It's something like a
Yeah.
IP address which people can reach from the internet. If you want to browse google.com from your laptop, you must connect to the google.com server, right? Probably it may not be an EC2 machine. It's probably a machine which Google owns. Maybe it's a machine residing inside Google data center or whatever, I don't care. It's a machine, and I am assuming it is running some operating system, Linux or Windows. And definitely they have a web server which listens on port 80, that I know. Maybe they are using Apache, maybe they are using Nginx, maybe they are using their own custom developed web server. I don't care, but I know that there must be a web server which is running inside google.com server that is giving me the web page. So these things happens inside the machine, inside the operating system. How you will reach to this machine is what? Through the IP, because IP address has a speciality, because from your laptop, if probably you are connecting to a machine which is in New York, and your request or the packets that you are sending to the remote machine travels through multiple routers over the internet, and today's internet is configured to work only based on IP. You want to connect to a remote machine, you need the IP of the remote machine, because that is how the internet is configured today. There is no other option. You can reach to a different machine only through IP. So you are browsing for google.com, but you still want to end up reaching this machine. Your browser, in your browser, you are simply putting google.com, but you still want to see the pages of google.com, right? The pages is managed by some software installed in this operating system which Google is running in their Google server. But that server is not reachable by using this name, because the internet is not configured well to use name as an address. You put a post cover in your post office by writing the right address on the top, on the cover. It will reach to the right destination, right? But you cannot put some ambiguous, right? It should have a format. It should be in the proper format, and that is what IP address in the internet. So domain name, google.com has this domain name, and if somebody browse for domain name, they want to make sure that those people who are browsing for google.com, they should end up connecting to this machine which has this IP. That is the reason DNS is there, and DNS and authoritative name server is there in place. The responsibility of these name servers are, for google.com there are set of authoritative name server. For your website you must have your own authoritative name server. For any working website in the world has their own authoritative name servers. Google definitely have set of authoritative name server. In over here, Google had actually saved the DNS records, the A record. They will point to this IP. What it means is, if somebody browse for google.com, first the request will come to the authoritative name servers. The authoritative name server will then check, okay, google.com. Somebody asked for the IP address of google.com. So it will check in its record. It will find that, okay, this is the IP address of google.com. There is a record. So this is the IP address of google.com. The IP address is given to this guy who is browsing google.com. And the role of DNS is over now. Now DNS have no roles anymore. Now it is up to you, your machine, to contact to this IP address which you have got from the authoritative name server. It will directly connect to that IP, because you got the IP. Now you can directly connect. There is no role for DNS anymore now. You will directly connect to the machine which is running the WordPress pages or the google.com web pages. The machine will respond with the google.com web pages. That is when you see the google.com web page in your browser. I hope it makes better sense now.
Basil, can you show us the configuration of identity name server? Is it possible?
So Basil,
Like,
I will show you. Actually,
yeah.
right? Typically what people does is they will buy name server from a third party, but it is also possible there are some softwares available. There is a software called Bind. What I'm trying to say is this authoritative name server which I talked about, you can purchase it from AWS. There is a service called Route 53 which I just showed you. From there you can get the name server. Then you don't really need to worry about setting up the name server yourself. What AWS give you is a graphical portal where you can add your website. Then AWS in response would give you the set of name server. This name server you can actually add into your GoDaddy. Basically you would associate your website with these name servers. Okay, and then AWS also give you the flexibility. You don't need to open any text editor to add this error code. AWS give you an option. Click on some button to add the error code. Then select A as the record. Put the IP address there. Then click on the save button. Then your error code is added inside these authority name servers.
Mr. Basil.
So, yeah.
So in my explanation, I have in your demo I have heard means in my so auditity name server is the main function through its playing it's giving the function of IP servers to it through its name servers. Am I right? Auditity name server is the special function, right? Where it's interfacing with the Apache server, EC2 server, and its auditity name server is basically purchased from the AWS server.
I'll ask one question. This is you are browsing for google.com. And first your request is sent to the authoritative name server of google.com. You got the IP address of google.com from the authoritative name server because you already published the IP address information over here. So once your laptop got the IP address of Google, your laptop will directly connect to the google.com server, get the pages. So is there any relation between these two? Not at all.
No, not at all.
Right? That is
So right, so Google server has a relation between EC2 machine and Auditity server. Am I right?
exactly.
Okay, that's the concept.
Basil,
Yeah.
so as a DevOps engineer, are we going to do this or a network admin will do?
Depends, but functionally, the networking and the DNS concepts are really important when you work as a DevOps engineer. So,
Okay.
Mr. Basil,
yes.
I hope I am not disturbed. I am not disturb you. I am sorry for.
No, that's fine. I mean, I know that this is a complex topic, so that's fine.
Yeah, sir. Actually, sir, I have this is my first IT class, and you know, and I'm from electronics background. I know the IP addresses and I know the server's configuration. So, little bit I have the idea. So that's why
Don't worry.
I'm yeah.
So yeah, only thing I mean, I would prefer the questions being asked in the chat. The reason is that would not affect the flow of the class. That's the main thing. But yeah, the DNS is something which I can really compromise on because I want to make sure that you got the concept. Okay. Right. So this is the scenario. This is so if you want the authority name server from AWS, all you need to do is go to the hosted zone here. Then click on the create hosted zone, which I already did actually. Create hosted zone. Here add the website name, click on create button, then your website is created. That's all. Now you open your website name, you can actually see your name servers. These are the authoritative name server which AWS has given you. And what I will do next is, what should I do next? I must register for DevOps01.com, of course. How will I register? I will go to GoDaddy or any registrar page. I will buy the domain from them. And once I bought the domain from them, they will ask me, the GoDaddy will ask me, or I can log into the GoDaddy page. Over here, I would see some option to change the name server. As you can see here, I need to provide the list of name server which AWS has given me. That is when the process is complete. I published to the world that these are the authoritative name servers of my domain. Okay, so we will continue. What now we will discuss is some. Okay, now let me ask you one question. Now you found that a website is down. You are browsing for DevOps01.com and you found that the website is down. What is the first thing you would do? You want to find out why this website is down. I mean, on a high level, don't go into technical. What is the first thing that you would check if the website, I mean, you would want to check, probably you don't know how to check. What is the first thing you want to check if you find a website is down?
We'll check the load first.
We'll check the internet connectivity.
We'll check the internet connectivity, definitely yes. And then we'll check if the website is a registered website, right? If website is not registered, there is no point in checking anything further. If the website is not registered,
Check the
you
server.
won't be able to buy. So there is something called whois database. There is something called whois database.
We can ping it, right?
Yeah, that is also one thing you would want to try doing. The first thing I would do is I want to check if it is a registered website. Right? If the website is not registered, then there is no point in checking anything further. So there is a database called whois database over there in the world that contains the list of registered websites. So if you want to check if a website is registered, if it is registered, who is the owner of the website, what are the name servers of the website, all these information are available in the whois database, which is actually a public database. Run this command. There are many websites you can search in Google. Whois database, you can search in Google. You will get a number of websites. Whois lookup, whois domain lookup, like that you would see a number of number of websites. So you can go to any website, for example, whois.net or whois.com/whois. You can go to any one of these websites. You can search for the domain name. Basically, this is how you can actually check. If you got a domain name, you can actually check if it is a registered domain name, DevOps01.com. You know that this is not a registered domain name. If you search for DevOps01.com over here, it would tell you this domain is available, right? I mean, this is not registered by anybody else. That's what it means. If it was registered, it would show you the information about the domain. So let me go ahead and search for a different name. I'm going to search for a different google.com. I want to check if google.com is a already registered website. You know that it is. Search for it, google.com. Then it would tell you google.com is already registered. This is the domain name. And right, this is the registrar with whom Google have registered the website. It's not, there are thousands of registrars out there. And this is the URL of the registrar. You can go to this website. You can see this is nothing but the registrar's website. When the website was last updated, probably uh, if you register the website for 1 year, next 1 year you have to renew the website. So it would show you when the website was last renewed. Google.com was last renewed on 2011, right? On this particular time. When the Google.com was originally registered, creation date would show you when Google.com website was registered in the first place. It is in 1997, 9th month, 15th day. Registry expiry date, when Google.com is going to expire. In 2020, it would expire. So before that date, Google will have to renew this name. Otherwise, they will use that name. So like this, you can see a lot of information about the website. These are the name surveys of Google. Right? These are the authoritative name surveys of Google. Every website I told you will have a set of authoritative name server. If you have to register your own website, you must also set up a authoritative name server for your website. In case of Google.com, these four are the authoritative name surveys of Google.com. All this information you can see. The administrator contact, if there is any abuse, whom you can reach to, the phone number of, right, all these things you can, it would show you. Okay, perfect. Any website, flipkart.com, or any working website that you want to search for, you can search here. If you want to contact any website owner, right, you want to contact the owner of flipkart.com, you can search for flipkart.com. You can see search, it's already registered, and this is the abuse email. So if you want to reach to them, either you can use this phone number or this mail ID to reach to them. So all this information you can see over here. The Whois database, which is a public database that saves the information about all websites out there in the world. You can see the name surveys of your website also. So the website should be registered. It must have set of authoritative name surveys. Great, perfect. Now let's say I checked the Whois database and I found that the flipkart.com is a registered website and it also has a set of name surveys. Great. So what is the next thing? But still I find that the DNS is not working. When I try to run the dig command, right? Dig is a command that you can run, or nslookup is a command that you can run, which would give you the IP address of the website that you are searching for. Let's say I'm going to search for the IP address of devops01.com. I'm not getting any IP. If I type nslookup google.com, I will get the IP address of google.com. I will get the IP address of google.com. This is the IP address of google.com. But when I try for nslookup devops01.com, it says server cannot find devops01.com. Okay. So I got this error. My name is not resolving to an IP. I'm not getting an IP for devops01.com. I also try to run the dig command, right? Dig devops01.com. Dig google.com. If you run it, you will get the IP address of google.com, right? I hope you are very clear with this. If you run dig google.com, you will get the IP address of google.com. So if I browse google.com from my MacBook, actually this is the IP address I am going to connect to. If I type dig devops01.com, I'm not getting an IP. So I found this problem. I'm not getting an IP. When I tried for dig devops01.com, I'm not getting any IP here. Then first thing I checked is I checked the Whois database if devops01.com is already registered. If it is already registered, I found that the devops01.com is already registered. But still I'm not getting the IP. What could be the reason? I'm not getting the IP address of devops01.com from the authoritative name server. If If I am not getting IP, what it means is I'm not getting the IP from the authoritative name server of DevOps01.com. What could be the reason?
It is
Might
not
be that
registered with
authoritative name server we have not given that IP.
Right. Maybe you're something wrong with your authoritative name server. Either you haven't put the IP address information inside the authoritative name server, or maybe your authoritative name server is down or whatever. Basically, if the website is registered and as per the whois database, the website is registered with your authoritative name server, it's all looking good. Then automatically whoever browsing for DevOps01.com or whoever running the dig command for DevOps01.com, actually they are ending up and contacting the authoritative name server. But authoritative name server is not able to give them the IP address. The reason can be there is no A record at all. You haven't added any A record in authoritative name server. So the authoritative server has no information. So it cannot give the information because it doesn't have the information. Or maybe the machine is not working. It is currently shut down or due to some reason the machine is not running. So that could be one situation if you are not getting the IP. All right. Now let's say you got the IP. You run the dig command. You try to run the dig command, and you got the IP address of the machine. IP address of your EC2 machine. You already added the A record and pointed your DevOps01.com to the IP address of your EC2 machine. And you verified the same thing by running the dig command from anybody's laptop. You run this dig command and you found that they are getting the IP address of DevOps01.com. Okay, now, but your website is still not working. What are the other things you want to check?
If you ping that IP, if the TTL value also should come that way.
Right. Basically, you are interested to know. Actually, you are getting the IP address of the machine. Your laptop request for DevOps01.com IP. It is getting the IP of DevOps01.com, and definitely then it will try to connect to the machine which has that IP. Maybe this machine is not responding. Right? This machine is not responding to with the web page to this guy. That could be the reason. All right, so there are many ways you can check. If you want to check if a remote machine is working fine, there are many ways you can check. One way is, first you want to check if the remote machine is completely down or not. Is the remote machine responding or not? There's a command, ping space the IP address of the remote machine. Let's say google.com would give you the IP address of google.com. You will just try to run this command, ping space the IP, or you can simply type ping space google.com. That is also fine. Ping space google.com. Then what this command does is it will automatically get the correct IP 172.217.26.206. It will get the IP through DNS, whatever. You have the IP now. You have the IP of the remote machine. Now your laptop will try to send some packets. Some packets would be sent to the remote machine, which is nothing but the google.com server. Wait for the response from this google.com server. And actually, in my case, I am getting the responses. I'm actually getting the responses. That's why you see the entries like this. Otherwise, it would throw some error like connection timeout. I don't know why I am getting the connection timeout. It could be maybe my connection problem, or I don't think it's the problem at Google side. But it looks strange. But anyway, it's supposed to give me a continuous response. Whatever packet which I am sending, google.com server will send a continuous response to me, indicating that the remote machine is up and running. But this is not mandatory. I mean, you cannot, sometimes there can be some firewall installed on the remote machine that will block your ping request. Let's say ping flipkart.com. I think flipkart.com will also, yeah, flipkart.com. If I try to ping flipkart.com, they are sending me the responses. If I try to ping microsoft.com, okay, I'm not getting any response. My connection is getting timed out. The reason is not because Microsoft server is down. The reason is Microsoft server is blocking my connection request by using some firewall or something. They are blocking my connection request. So basically what I'm trying to say is ping is not the, you cannot predict that the remote machine is down just by running ping. If you run simply ping command, the reason could be either the remote machine is down, if the machine is not responding, either it is down, or the reason could be the machine is configured to not to respond to the ping request. So you cannot predict that the remote machine is actually, if you browse microsoft.com, you would actually see microsoft.com is actually working. So ping is still used very frequently for the network connectivity. If you want to see, let's say microsoft.com server is listening on port 80. If you are browsing for microsoft.com, where you are actually hitting port 80, and there would be a web server running inside Microsoft server which listens on port 80 and giving you the web page of microsoft.com. You got it already. So let's say your website is not working. First thing that you want to do is you want to manually connect to the port 80 on the remote machine. There's a command called telnet microsoft.com space, you put the port number to which port you want to try to connect on the remote machine. You will get a response saying that connected to microsoft.com. What it means is the remote Microsoft server listens on port 80. There is some web server installed inside the remote machine that listens on port 80. That is the reason you are actually able to connect to the port 80 on the microsoft.com server. If it was not listening, you wouldn't be able to connect it. Got it? So this way you can actually check if the remote machine listens on port 80. If the machine is not, let's say your request is timing out, right? You are not able to connect to port 80 on the remote machine, then the reason could be something wrong with this machine, right? Basically, it is not listening on port 80. The reason can be the security group, or there can be some firewall which is blocking the port 80, or maybe the machine itself is overloaded, or maybe the Apache service or the web server service running in the machine has crashed, or maybe the entire machine is down. So then you can easily predict the problem is with this machine. You can check the load on the machine by running the W command, right? If you have access to the remote machine, you can log into the machine, then check the load on the machine, and many other the traditional Linux troubleshooting you can perform. So you got it, right? So I will do one more thing. I will actually set up the bind. I don't know how many of you have completed the assignment to set up the bind. I will set up bind on EC2 machine, and I will show you how you can set up your own name service, right? That I will do tomorrow. I need hardly 10 minutes for that, and tomorrow itself we will start with cloud computing, right? We are going to move on to our advanced training topics from tomorrow. we will finish the final little bit of practicals. We will see how to set up your own DNS server, right? And I hope at least many of you had completed setting up the DNS server and it's working. I haven't seen any email from any of you, but I suppose you are still working on it. And yeah, we will see that tomorrow anyway. And yeah,
Hi, Basil. Padmaja here.
hey Padmaja.
Yeah, can I the bind thing? So I set up everything.
Mhm.
Okay, that last part where you configure the Windows IP address of the EC2 machine, and I put that it says invalid IP. The rest everything was done, but that is not taking it. What do
You
it?
browsed it, it is giving you invalid IP, right?
In the settings, it says if I put the EC2 machine IP address, the Windows says it's an invalid IP.
Which is fine. Probably it's working. Did you try to run this command ns lookup?
After I tried to run, but I am getting like Facebook.com IP only, not the local host, that not 127.
Try the ping command, ping space. Facebook.com. Maybe ns lookup, what I believe is it would do the tracing starting from the root service. But the ping command would get the IP from the resolver name server.
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you repeat that, please?
No, ping facebook.com. Run the command ping facebook.com from the command prompt of Windows. Check what IP you are getting.
Okay. Getting some public IP like.
Oh, okay. But I think
No.
it's working. It should be working. In your browser, you are getting invalid IP error, right?
Right. No, here it shows some 2A03 colon
Yeah, that
2880
is
reply from.
the actual IP.
Okay.
Right. But in your browser, when you tries to browse facebook.com, you are getting an invalid IP error. Other websites, are they working?
Yeah.
Other websites are working. Only facebook.com is not working, right?
Yeah.
Then I think you did it right. It's working for you. That's what I wanted to have in the output.
Okay. Okay.
Basically, what happens is it is requesting for the IP address from your EC2 machine, and it is getting that 127.0.0.1 IP. That is the reason it is throwing the invalid IP error. Don't trust ping and ns lookup. Maybe they wouldn't really connect to the your name server. They would actually do a full trace. Sometimes it happens, but I think it's working.
Okay.
If other websites are working, only facebook.com is not working, then that's correct.
Okay.